Live from Los Angeles, this is Dr. Erin. We come together each day to live on spiritual principle, align with universal law, and live our truth. I'm a doctor of divinity. We teach metaphysics, new thought movement, science, and mind. So we're going to come together today to know the truth around the dangers of psychics and clairvoyants and mediums. And I am going to honor all my amazing friends out there that have great intentions, but we're going to break on down and hack this entire thing. So let's begin by knowing the truth, taking a deep breath in through the nose and exhaling out through the mouth. I recognize right here, right now, that all of our abilities are super. Our natural state is supernatural. Our natural state is breaking through to manifestation, miracles, and all of the above, because we are that. We are the one, the source, all of the above. We say this in our name, in the name, which is no name. It is the nameless, as together we say, and so it is. So let's talk about the dangers of psychics, mediums, and clairvoyants. So each day when we come here, I'm going to be doing different interviews, different call-ins, different teachings around New Thought and the entire movement. But today I want to take on, which is basically a couple questions from call-ins. They actually wrote in these. And the first one reads, "My name is Jenny. I've been meditating for a couple of years now, and I have different entities coming to me. Is this normal?" Okay, well, before we get into the dangers of psychic and mediums and clairvoyance, I want to first break down a few things. So, Jenny, I think that I rarely talk about the entities or the deities, if you will, that came to me during my awakening, but I think it is coming of time because I've been asked this a few times on different interviews and different things. So, is it normal to have entities come to you in meditation? I think that it is unique for each person. What I found is when working with people who are awakening, when they are beginning to take away the veil, if you will, and they begin to release their limited beliefs, what happens is you empty the mind so much that this truths of the universe stream in, and you become, which is really clear. Your soul is clear, and you begin to be able to perceive all kinds of things. You can go through consciousness all over. You can go into what we call mediumship, which is basically where you can communicate with other entities, if you will. And then there's what's called being an oracle, meaning that you can stream directly to source and deities. Okay, so we want to first break down what it means, the different levels of consciousness, right? So when you're awakening, sometimes you can track through your DNA of this lifetime and past lifetimes. You can track to other people on the planet. You can track anywhere beyond space and time, right? So another thing that happens when you begin to awaken is you can have what's called mediumship, where you can communicate with other souls or other people that have gone beyond this realm, beyond the body. And then there's a third level, which is basically Greek oraclism, where you go directly to source. You go directly to your higher self, to divine. And sometimes it feels like it's something separate, but the truth is that's the truth of who you are. So is this normal to have entities come with you when you're having your spiritual awakening? Well, I think that it is unique for each person. So I don't think we can say what is normal or not normal. I think that we have to go beyond what the whole entire world has told us what's normal, because what the world tells us is normal is not normal. It's actually really as divided and as not in our nature as possible. We basically have gotten entangled in limited beliefs and in programming that have us living lives that are not normal at all, actually, right? I mean, they're normal because it's a natural process of consciousness. But is it normal to have entities come at you? I think that it is normal because that's what's happening to you. And I think that we all have to get into our own normalcy and really be true to that authentic aspect that happens. And as I've witnessed with myself and I've witnessed with other people, when they awaken, they generally turn on what we call abilities, which are not abilities. There are supernatural, natural abilities, which are understanding and be able to track anything. You should be able to walk into anyone's presence and be able to feel their energy, be able to begin to feel what is going on within their consciousness from an intuitive perspective. We should be able to track anywhere on our DNA and track anyone on the planet. We should be able to think of anyone because all relationships are eternal. So is it normal if you have entities coming at you? I guess that I would ask is, what are they trying to communicate with you, right? Because all of life is a relationship. So how are you relating to those entities? Are you scared? Are you listening to them? Are you feeling like there's a message for you? What is that, right? So we have to begin to really listen listen to what is coming through in our things. I generally don't talk about the deities that came to me and come to me, like Jesus Christ and many other deities, many others, not just Jesus. I didn't believe in Jesus when Jesus first came to me. And the reason why I don't talk about that is because so many people have so many opinions. It's like talking politics. If I'm like, I want to allow people to have their own viewpoint and their own experience of awakening. So Jenny, I would say just honor wherever you're at. If it is bringing you fear, then I think that it's more of breaking through your limited beliefs and embracing what's there. Allow whatever entities are coming through to speak to you and begin to ask them, begin to have a relationship with them. What's going on? Why are you here? What's the message? What would you like to know? So on and so forth. Okay. So we want to break on down today. I was saying that we want to break on down the next question, which I think is really the hot topic of today, which is basically intuitive versus psychic versus medium versus clairvoyant, and breaking this on down. So the next question comes from another gal. She said, "Hi, Dr. Erin. I've been a psychic since I was a little girl. As a little girl, I would just know things. My parents got really freaked out, but I began to shut down my abilities." So she began to shut down her abilities. "Around 20 years old, I began to tap back into my psychic nature. Now I'm able to see things. How can I develop more of my psychic powers?" Okay. Let me just say, I'm going to really debunk this for a moment, okay? And I get it, and I am all about developing your psychic powers, but really we want to get that it's really just natural powers. There's nothing really psychic about this. This is a natural state that we should be in. It's not natural that we can't read people and read things, right? Animals have these intuitive things. They know when the tsunami is coming. They know when things, because they're in alignment. We've gotten so tweaked out of whatever. It's not really superpowers. It's like natural. This is so natural, right? So it's important to know that there's really only way of turning on your psychic powers, which is tapping into your higher self, tapping in. And which is, yes, I totally think that the biggest thing that had me turn on my natural abilities, I like to call it, is doing my inner trauma work. I believe that doing, meditation and all that is the core and foundation of everything. But I feel like that doing your inner trauma work actually is the biggest, I've noticed with clients, that it's the biggest way of releasing limited beliefs, releasing, like the lies within our soul, releasing everything that gets out of our way. Our only work to turn on our superpowers or our natural powers is to get out of the way. So it's never about trying to become supernatural. It's really about releasing what is a limitation within our own consciousness. And when we release those things, then it's natural to turn on different abilities. Some people become more clairvoyant. Maybe people become more, they speak with, transition people. Maybe they have a voice that come through. Maybe they hear things. Maybe they, can read other people's souls. So let's get into this. So I just want to say to this person, be careful. And this is the reason why I say this, because coming back to this, where is an intuitive versus psychic versus mediumship versus clairvoyance. So I'm gonna call out all the psychics out there, okay? I really am. And I have a big message, and I'm very, very opinionated about this, okay? So years ago when I was in ministerial, and we would debate, what does it mean to be a psychic? What does it mean to have, intuitive abilities? What does it mean to have mediumship? What does it mean to be clairvoyant? So on and so forth. And this is the deal, is that we call it implanting. If someone is telling you your future, then it is a very, very dangerous thing. In fact, I say run for the hills. The only thing a teacher or a guru or a psychic or anyone should ever be doing is looking at what limited beliefs you have in you that are projecting out in your life. And we call it the mental equivalent. So there is only pure potential in the future. Otherwise we don't believe in free will. Like, that's ridiculous, right? So it really is about, be careful who is telling you about your future. It's called implanting, okay? And it's a very, very dangerous thing. You'll see it all over Los Angeles. There's psychics on all the corners because people look to somebody for their answers in their life. And it's a very, very dangerous thing, okay? So we want to first define, what is an intuitive? An intuitive is somebody who really is in touch with their higher self and with the truth of whoever they're sitting in front of. It's really looking at the pure soul that they are and the pure potential that they are, and recognizing maybe and getting in touch with what is their next highest action in their life? What is the greatest thing for them to do to align to their truth? And really it's about getting in touch with the questions of the person. As developing spiritual coaches and certifying spiritual coaches, it's actually, we have a code of ethics, which is to never evaluate somebody, to never tell them about their future. It's actually against our practice and against the New Thought movement, against science of mind, against unity practices. And there's a very specific reason why, because we truly believe in freedom of choice. We truly believe that we are pure potential, and that really the only thing to do is to evaluate what their truth is, to have them birth what's true for them so they can live in alignment with their truth. Okay, so what is a psychic? A psychic is an umbrella. Okay, so if you take a look at one of the definitions online, it's a psychic is a person who claims to use extrasensory perception to identify information hidden in the normal senses, particularly involving telepathy, clairvoyance, and so on and so forth. But basically what happens with the psychic is they're reading your soul through their soul. So they're perceiving through your perception, which is dangerous. You're talking about a lot of things that can go wrong in that process, right? And I remember on Good Morning La La, I think we had probably, out of 3,600 guests, we probably had a good 10 psychic readings from different people that came on the show. And I'm here to say that, I'm sure all of you guys are amazing, okay? I love every last one of you guys, all my psychic friends, and I'm sure all you guys have great intentions. But I'm going to tell you that maybe 1 out of 10 things were even on the spectrum, okay? So my calling out upon anyone that's psychic out there, unless you are getting 90% right, you need to zip your mouth, okay? You need to not tell people what I've been told. People, I'm going to meet somebody on this week. I'm going to have this, production company come to me. I'm going to have this happen with the company. I'm going to be moving here. And not one thing has come true, psychics, just so you know. And then they go, well, that's because you've done so much work on your psyche that you now are in freedom of choice. But the people that haven't, you can very much predict what's going to happen to them in the future. I go, well, then isn't your job to help them actually begin to clear their soul instead of actually telling them what's going to happen in their life? Okay, so I don't dig it. Okay, I'm going to say my honest opinion is I do not dig anybody that's going to tell you your future. It's dangerous. Okay, if you're looking to an outside source, this is the entire work we do as spiritual awakening, is we no longer place any value outside of ourselves. We only go to source for all answers. Always we go to the identity that I am, true source, and we never place our power outside of ourselves. So if you're looking to a psychic to give you your answers, you're looking outside of yourself for your own answers, okay? This doesn't not necessarily go with my astrology friends, because astrology is really about understanding and reading consciousness. And there is an evolution of consciousness, okay? So astrology can be a little bit different because we're looking at the bigger dynamic of the evolution of our consciousness. If an astrologer is telling you what's going to happen to you this week, run for the hills, okay? They don't know, and quite frankly, I have read every astrology thing under the sun, and not one thing has come true that week or been accurate that week. An astrology from a bigger standpoint, from a collective consciousness, from an astrological consciousness, I'm all about. But from an individual consciousness, it is rarely on point. I'm sorry, but I can look at all my friends and all my Geminis, and they're all very different. I can look at all my Virgo friends, and they're all very unique. Maybe there's specific things that are somewhat the same, but you can look at all the differences just as much as you can look at the similarities. I don't buy it, you guys, and I love you. I buy it from a collective consciousness, and I buy it from a cosmic consciousness, not from an individual. It's too specific, and you can make predictions that maybe 1 out of 10 of their predictions comes right. Okay, so if you're not having 9 out of 10 predictions come true, zip it. That's what I got to say. Okay. So on that note, I know the perfection right here, right now. We've got more construction going on because I'm in Los Angeles. So next is mediumship. Mediumship is where you are basically tapping in and communicating with people who have transitioned, okay? And it's fine. And I think that there may be a reason and a purpose for that. I personally just feel that it's not necessarily I feel like, again, for anybody to teach somebody else that they have a relationship with anybody, they can communicate with their grandfather that's transitioned. They can